Okay, so this is a really, really cool question. This is from a new person. So his name is Smarjena. I can't really pronounce it, but I will leave the name up. It should come up anyway, the edit. It says, random question, Richard. When you have a type of gig where you have to keep the same group of people entertained for a long period of time, say an hour, what is your strategy? I find people don't want to see effect after effect in succession. Do you slow routines down or milk the moment, or what? So he's not sure if he's asking this right, and I get exactly what you mean, because I had a gig where I was meant to do a restaurant for 2 hours, and I got there and there was only one table, and they were the only table that were there for the whole 2 hours, and they stayed for the whole 2 hours while I performed. All I can say is that it's not about how many tricks you can remember, because that will never be 2 hours of that, or 1 hour of that is going to be a long performance, and you'll start doing that thing where you go, I've run out of tricks, I'll start teaching them tricks. If I teach them tricks, that'll kill the time. Not so much. Obviously, don't take a booking for an hour if you know it's only with one group of people. Say I'll do half hour if that's the case. But I think when you're doing something like an hour or more to one group of people, you cannot just be performing trick after trick. You have to have the ability to just sit and talk and sort of talk about experiences you had in magic, and tell some jokes. I don't mean tell jokes as in start saying, oh well, 3 guys walk into a bar, but just be able to converse, and that is something that you build up over time, that confidence. So you learn that you can stop doing magic and you can talk to them a little bit, even if it's just a patter story that you're gonna, oh, my Uncle Charlie, he taught my dad magic. Yeah, my dad used to do magic for me when I was a kid, and the first trick he ever showed me was this really cool thing with cards and elastic bands. But when my nan died, me and my dad were cleaning out the loft, and we went up and we found this picture of, and you just going into heirloom, but you can have a big long conversation about all this stuff beforehand to build up to the trick, or just be able to converse with people. So I don't think you have to slow the magic down. You have to just do less magic, if that makes sense. If you're doing like 10-15 minutes, you can just do loads of magic for them, burn, do your 4 best tricks and just smash them and leave. When you do an hour, I actually do less magic. I don't slow the tricks down, but I certainly leave bigger gaps between the tricks and actually converse and chat. And if it's anything over an hour, I'll take a break in the middle and let them have a break and say, right, grab a drink, I'm going to grab a drink and have a little bit of my vape, and I'll see you back in a sec, and actually break it in half, so that doing 2 half hours is much easier than doing 1 hour, because they get to reset, chat to each other about the tricks they've seen, have a drink, 5 minutes, whatever it is. You can go to the toilet, have a vape, have a quick drink, come back, bring your drink with you, sit down, and carry on, but it just makes it 2 half hours, which seem a lot easier than a full 1 hour stretch. So don't slow it down, but certainly have longer gaps between tricks and converse, and just be a human being. If you talking isn't your thing and you're not overly confident in front of people, then don't take an hour booking for a small crowd. Do say to them, I'm happy to do half an hour. And just when you're taking a booking, you don't have to do what they're asking. You can always suggest or say, this is what I'd recommend. And try and enjoy yourself and try and be a person rather than a magician, because talking to somebody for an hour is very easy. It's easier than doing magic to someone for an hour, for sure. So fit as much as you can with talking. As long as you've got 6 or 7 good routines in there, that's an hour easy peasy. Some people try and fit 30 in, it's just ridiculous. So don't slow it down, pace it out. Alright, so now we're on to the YouTube comments. I'll go through them from the top to the bottom. Are you planning on doing the Magic News videos again? So the RB News, absolutely yes. It's a case of getting the Wi-Fi set up, and also when my good friend Tim has some time, because all of that footage and editing stuff that we got together is on his computer at his house. He's a very, very busy man, so I'm sort of stuck on his schedule at the moment. But yes, I am planning on getting that back up and running, certainly by Christmas, but I can't say when. But yeah, it will be coming, don't worry. And that was from Samuel Wieland. I think it's Wieland, but you'll see the name there. Thanks for the message, dude. Little Legend, who's been a subscriber for a long time, says, great to see you back. Thanks, good to be back. At the moment, I don't know what to learn. There are so many things on my list. I started learning the Tournament Restored from Guy Hollingworth. He's drawing on Deceptions, but this is difficult as hell and will take a really long time to learn. So do you have any suggestions on a really strong card trick without gimmicks? Without meaning to sound like a complete bellend, the 6 card routine that I do, I always tell people to learn it, not because it's mine or anything else, but because it contains so many sleights in there that you're going to be learning and refreshing a shed load, absolute barrel load of sleights whilst performing this routine. So that's a really cool one to get you started. That's on the channel. What I tend to do when I'm learning something difficult, I perform something that I already know for like a self-worky type trick. There's some lovely stuff on Mark Elsden's Before I Forget. He's got some nice self-workers that are really strong, which you can perform and get your performance confidence up whilst you're away learning the tougher sleight of hand stuff. Ambitious card goes without saying. That's very, very simple on sleights, but very strong, and again that will help your performance confidence go up whilst you're learning, because obviously that tournament restore from Guy Hollingworth is not a great practical trick to do out and about with the angles. It's a great stand in front of people and do magic, but in terms of out and about, it's not the ideal trick. So if you're looking for some walk around material, I say it all the time, but David Acker, ACER, his DVD Extreme Close Up is just brilliant, and I still perform a lot of the stuff on there, so that would be my recommendation. 6 card routine, ambitious card routine, and get David Acer/Acker. I'm sure one day he'll tell me how to pronounce that. Extreme Close Up. It's just the best. I love it, and you'll get a lot out of it too. Manual labour and lickety split are just wonderful, wonderful effects. Right, Magic Man Pete, who is patron, Discord member, Instagram, YouTube, big member of the RB fam. He put 2 questions to me. He put 1, tips on how best to structure a stage show. I'm trying to develop a stage show and trying to get away from just demoing trick after trick. How about you go and picking the right tricks and making the whole thing flow nice so you're not standing up demoing trick. Now this is very similar to the question right at the beginning about how do I put together an hour stand-up set with just cards. Same idea. Don't think about your tricks. Write a show that doesn't exist that you can make up in your mind without any restrictions. Just make up the best show you can imagine seeing. Try to mix light and shade. Try and think about how many people are on stage and fill in those negative spaces with flowing links between the tricks, and that will really help your stage show come together. And then you put the tricks in that match what you've written as a framework for your stage show. What's nice is you can have that same framework for the next 6 stage shows and just fill it with different tricks, because all you're doing is saying, well, this trick involves 5 people, this trick involves 1 person, this trick is me to the audience, this trick is 2 people, and you can see the flow without seeing what the tricks are. I don't even need to see the tricks. You can see what they will see, whether it's comedy, dark, light. That stuff can be generic, and you can write your stage skeleton with your negative space written in between, and then just fill it in with tricks that apply. Do it backwards. Any tips on how to get corporate gigs? You got to put yourself about. Some of the best corporate gigs I've had is where I've just been in a pub doing magic at an event, paid to be there, and somebody there worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers. He then got me in to do PricewaterhouseCoopers, who are like the accountants to God, basically. They are just the biggest accountants in London, and I ended up doing all of their stuff for about 3 years. Not all of their stuff. They've got enough corporate gigs that they could hire, another magician who up north who will do all of that stuff for 3 years. But I did 3 years of PricewaterhouseCoopers because I was in a pub. So have your business cards on you. Get yourself about. Don't turn down a gig. You can write to these. You can do email shots as well. I never was that kind of magician. I never did that whole. I'll send emails to every PA in the country. That's a great way of getting corporate gigs. You can sign up to a lot of agencies. There are a lot of online agencies that these PAs use to find a magician for an event. Google AdWords and all that sort of stuff. Not for me. I was always a case of I was just in the moment, and if somebody was there, I just wanted to make sure the people that saw me were booking me because I was the best one that they'd seen, and therefore they want me for their Christmas party, they want me for their wedding. Just every time you do a gig, you should get another 5 gigs from it. That's the key. And then you'll eventually start meeting business people that own businesses, and it will happen. But you need to put yourself out there. make sure everyone's got a business card in their hand, and that you just perform the best you can, and it will happen. And try and do a lot of charity gigs that are high end, because you don't charge anything for your time, but what you're doing is you're being put in front of very, very wealthy people who are all there to raise money, and they will all see your skills. A nice little tip for you as well: if you're doing a charity gig, put yourself into the auction. So if you've done a couple of hours and there's an auction at the end, you say to the announcer, look, can I put myself in? So I'll donate 2 hours of magic. They can bid for it, whatever the bid is, the charity takes it, and I'll go and do the gig. And you can print up some gift certificates, what I used to do, and give it to the person. What's nice about this, you look like a good guy, because you're donating your time for the charity. But the key to this is lots of very influential people will see that you're a good guy and that you're good at magic. So you're on their radar. And then if you have 3 people bidding for you, right, £100, 150, 200, 250, oh, too much for me, 350, 400, it goes for £400. And that person gets you, the charity gets the money. These 2 people have just admitted they want you because they bid for you, right? They have a gig in mind. So go and give those 2 people a business card, and you've got 2 bookings out of it. You're welcome. Okay, Ian Wood says, this is again on YouTube, which add a number pad do you recommend? I recommend this one. Without a doubt, it's El Duco's add a number pad. I don't want to go into it too much because I still use the prop a lot, and some people that book me also, subscribe to the channel. So El Duco, ELDUCO, El Duco's add a number pad, and nothing else. It's the best. Right, this is an interesting question from Tongshu Wen on YouTube. How do you know if you're qualified as a magician or not? It's a great question, because there is no qualification. So you have to make a judgment call, right? So I would say, I think you know when you have, my dad calls it when you doing your time. So you have to go and do some really cheap gigs, rough bars, free gigs, pubs, the sort of drunken crowds. You need to be able to do those. A lot of comedians have the same thing. They go and do the roughest crowds up north in Scotland, where it's just, they're really brutal if you're not very good. Do those gigs, and when you can do those and don't fear them anymore, and you can go into the toughest crowd, a load of drunk guys or girls or whatever, and you can just keep that audience in your control, and you have that situation, then you let them go back to their night. That's when you know you can handle any audience. And I think once you can handle an audience, that's when you know you're qualified to then go on and start being a magician. So basically do what comedians do, work the rough crowds. When you know you can do those and you actually enjoy them, then you're ready to move on up, and do your time. That's what it's called. Once you've done your time and you can handle it, you are then ready to take on the magic world. So that's my advice. It really is a judgment call. That's how I look at it.